Lydia Graham here, A&L Hot Topics. I just wanted to go over something that's very important and I wanted to explain it the best that I can. So what I do is I rip things from the headlines, I watch different YouTube videos like the Midas Touch and different other outlets that are really, really cool and fun to listen to as well as informative. And I take that information and I do my own research, pull information from the web, and then I want to educate others on it. That's what I'm here for. I want you to know what's going on with our government from a way that where it's like, okay, what does this mean? What does it mean for me? What does it mean to and it might not affect your lives, everyone that's watching this, but it might affect people's lives that you're associated with, your children, your parents, your grandparents. So I just wanted it to be known how this stuff works so you can say, oh, okay, that's how it affects me. This is called the SAVE Act, SAVE. It is aimed and when I look over to this side, I'm reading from my laptop just so that you guys are aware of what's going on here. It's just me sitting in my house talking to you. And I just pull the information I got from here and I say, okay, let me read it to you. And you can go on the web, you can go anywhere and find this information for yourself. Nothing that I have is any different than what you could find, okay? The SAVE Act, the aim is to prevent non-citizen voting. It is being presented from the Republican Congress as something that is to help weed out people that are non-citizens, aka immigrants, people that are over here illegally. So they say. Existing laws are already addressing this act because what people are saying, what Democrats are saying, and what people are saying is that they really understand what this means is it's voter suppression, and I'll explain how. Before I go into detail more, I want you to know that this law was passed through Congress last year, and it was looked at again at the beginning of this year. And as of April 10th of this year, it was passed through the Republican Congress, but the Democrats have not voted on it yet. So it's not passed into law as I'm speaking right now. I just want you to be aware. But they're trying to push this through, and they're trying to push it through by the end of the year, okay? And the reason why I want you to understand why that part is important about the end of the year is because next year is midterms, okay? So keep that in mind as I read this. I want you to understand how this works, okay? The SAVE Act would require that anyone registering to vote or changing their registration appear in person at an election office. That would require all of us. The word is anyone. That's everyone. Okay. And it says that when we go to that office, we need to have an original or certified document that not only provide our identity, but our citizenship status. And that includes, for most Americans, I'm going to say for all Americans now, because this is what they're focused on, is voter suppression. So for all of us, we're going to need a passport or birth certificate. I'm going to break this down for you as simple as it can be. A lot of people saying, oh, that's not a big deal. I'll get my birth certificate. The reason why this is important is because it's saying that this is going to restrict a lot of married women from voting. It's like we're going back to the 1950s again. And let me explain how. I'm married, okay? My last name is that I had is no longer my last name. My last name is now what it is. If I have my birth certificate with me when I walk into an office to register to vote, that is no good for me. Do you get what I'm saying now? So what used to be, yes, it certifies you as a U.S. citizen, but it has your maiden name on it. Therefore, what they're saying is that this bill, the SAVE Act, saves us nothing. It makes life harder because what they're saying is because it shows our maiden name and you are married now, they will not take that as documentation or proof of registration to vote, okay? You're going to need, I'm going to tell you right now, your driver's license and a passport. And when I say the thing about the driver's license, I want you to understand the reason why I hesitated there when I was talking is because I started thinking. So whenever I hesitate when I talk, the wheels are turning saying, wait a minute, Lydia, tell them everything. A driver's license alone is no longer going to be valid under the SAVE Act. As of today, because this bill has not been passed, we can register to vote and vote as freely as we want. Okay? I want you to understand that everything that this dictator is doing is taking back rights from people like myself and my parents. Now, let me explain to you. My parents are elderly. They cannot drive. Therefore, they no longer use their driver's license. So it'll be expired if they don't get something done soon. So we're trying to help them out. I have 4 sisters. We're trying to help them get their passports. They don't travel. They never have been big travelers like outside the U.S. So therefore, they've never needed a passport before. So this, when you are elderly and you have a hard time walking and you have a hard time seeing, this is overwhelming for people like my parents who have to go to a post office to mail the information in order for it to get processed. That's how you work through a passport. You don't need a driver's license for a passport. I say that to people, I'm saying this out loud because if you have a grandparent or an elderly person that no longer drives and their driver's license is expired, then they cannot get a passport with an expired driver's license. They'd have to go and get it renewed. Why would they get it renewed if they don't drive anymore? Do you see how the layers of this are going to affect people? So what I'm saying to you is you have to find out, and they have that on the passport website, find out what other documentation you can use in order to get that passport. Right now, you should be able to use whatever documentation, such as, like a valid ID, I'm guessing. But I don't want to guess. Therefore, I'm not here to talk about the passport. I'll talk about that later. I'm here to talk about the fact that you need one in order to vote. Another reason why birth certificates and passports can be overwhelming is if you're a college student and you don't have supportive parents that have kept and I don't mean to say that parents aren't supportive, but sometimes people lose information. They don't have their birth certificates on them. They don't have passports because they don't travel a lot because they're only 18 or 19 and they don't have money to travel. Then guess what? You have to get a passport. You have to get a passport because, I'm sorry, you have to get your birth certificate or your passport. And so therefore you have to order it online. And if they make that process harder, sometimes you have to go to your town or state where you were born and get it there. I don't want to make this crazier than what it is, but I'm going to tell you that after everything that's happened this week with how Trump and his administration, about the Abrego Garcia case, how they are definitely breaking the Constitution and saying, screw the Supreme Court, whatever they say. I don't think that they're going to make anything else easier in our lives. So I want people to understand that this is literally going backwards. It's going back to the 1950s when women couldn't vote. And the reason why they couldn't vote is because there was a lot of different reasons why they couldn't vote. So being married and all that stuff, it didn't really matter back then because you could still use your birth certificate. Under the SAVE Act, we didn't have the SAVE Act back then. It was just that's how it was. But they're trying to bring us backwards with this act. This proposed thing has been proposed. It's been proposed before. This is nothing new. But they're really trying to push it through now because Trump does not plan on walking out of the White House. He plans on being there for a long time. And between getting rid of homegrown citizens and trying to make sure that you feel the pain of making it harder to vote, a lot of people will say, and this is true, a lot of people will say, I'm not going to vote this year. It's just too much of a hassle. Voter suppression. That's what it looks like. A lot of people will say, I have everything I need, but I'm just confused right now. This is so confusing. Voter suppression. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to understand that this information I'm giving you is to empower you. It's to let you know that you have the right to vote no matter what they say. But if they pass this bill, those are the things you have to do. Just get your passport and make sure you have it on you whether you travel or not, and then you're covered and you can register to vote.